All right, in this video, we're going to go over how to place an order for a confirmation entry. So again, there are two entry types. You're either going to score the trade and it's going to come out as a proximal entry, which is the highest entry type that you're going to find. That basically means that you have a pretty good trade, or that you scored a good trade and a good zone. And then a confirmation entry type is going to be, it's kind of a trade that we're saying is, hey, it's still good, it's still okay, but there's some certain precautions you want to take to make sure that it actually works in your favor. And not necessarily make sure that it works in your favor, but to reduce the amount of risk associated with that particular zone and entry. So as you're going through the process, right, you score your high time frame, supply and demand zones, you check your trend, you identify your zones, and then you get into the process of actually scoring the trade. And you score either in you score anywhere between 7 to 8 points on that particular zone, which is going to be a confirmation entry zone. Okay, so in order to do this kind of by the numbers, more or less, now, of course, you could just do it where you would set an entry to be 1 cent above your proximal line. But if you want to do it by the numbers, then you would give yourself a buffer of 10 cents. Okay, so if your proximal line comes out to be $399.89 per se for this example, then you're going to set your entry at $399.99. Okay, and what that all means is, actually, let me spread this out a little bit so you can see the difference between the proximal and, wow, it's not going to do it. Oh, there we go. Dang. Okay. All right. But anyway, this looks ugly, but we'll just focus on the 2 price points here. So entry, $399.99, but you have a proximal line, that's the top of your zone, at $399.89. So for confirmation entry, what you're waiting for is for price to come down, crosses below your proximal line. Crosses below your proximal line. Then it's going to come back up above your proximal line, but you're not going to enter the trade until price hits at least 10 cents above your proximal line. And the reason you want to have that 10-cent buffer in there is because you want to kind of prepare for, price fluctuations where it looks like it's going to go back up, but it's actually just a minor pullback on a downtrend, right? Price falls into the zone, but hey, it looks like it's going to just kind of pull back into my zone and then leave the zone, when actually it's leaving from either a uptrend or a sideways trend, and it's starting to become a downtrend. Okay, so that's the reason for the 10-cent buffer. So if you're scoring your trade and it scores anywhere between 7 to 8 points, that's a confirmation entry. If it scores 8.5 or higher, that's a proximal entry. If it scores below 7, then you don't want to take that trade. Okay, so anyway, in regards to confirmation entry, that's how you're going to go about that. You're going to set your entry 10 cents above your proximal line, and that's where your limit order is going to go. Now, depending on your trading platform, you're going to have to call them perhaps and determine how you would execute that. For a proximal entry, it would be simple. You would just put in your limit order and you're done. But for a confirmation entry, again, you're waiting for price to come below the proximal line, then cross back above the proximal line, and you want to put your entry order in at 10 cents above your proximal line. So in order to do it where you don't have to babysit the chart, you can call whatever broker you're working with. If you're working with Thinkorswim, then you're going to call TD Ameritrade. or I'm sorry, referring to your trading platform, your direct access platform. If you have Thinkorswim, then you would call TD Ameritrade. If you're using Robinhood's chart, then obviously you would call Robinhood. If you're using TradingView, then obviously you would need to call them. But you're going to want to call them and kind of figure out and tell them what you're doing. Say, hey, I want to buy in when price crosses above this price point, but I want my entry to execute at this price point. And kind of tell them your situation, and they'll walk you through it. All right. Hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.